In diplomacy, silence can be more telling than words. When Israel recognized Somaliland, the world erupted in condemnation, except Eritrea. For nearly 2 days, Asmara said nothing, a pause that hinted at deep calculation. When Eritrea finally spoke, it issued a cryptic, ambiguous statement. 2 paragraphs, no names, just warnings of a ploy that could spark global crises. The statement didn't mention Somaliland or Israel, instead blaming unnamed forces and calling for UN action. For Eritrea, a nation forged in defiance and self-determination, this was a puzzling shift. Historically, Eritrea has claimed legitimacy comes from its people, not foreign approval. Yet now it seemed rattled, appealing to the very international system it once scorned. The statement's contradictions weren't mistakes. They were the message. Eritrea's response was less about regional stability and more about its own vulnerabilities. The silence, the omissions, and the sudden appeal to global institutions all pointed to a deeper anxiety. This wasn't just about Somaliland's recognition. It was about Eritrea's fear of a changing order. The statement was a mirror, reflecting Eritrea's own unease. In the Horn of Africa, what's left unsaid can be the loudest warning. To grasp Eritrea's reaction, you must understand the shock Israel's move caused. In December 2025, Israel became the first nation in decades to recognize Somaliland's sovereignty. Somaliland, independent since 1991, had built a stable, democratic state, yet remained unrecognized. Israel's decision shattered a long-standing diplomatic blockade, citing the Abraham Accords as inspiration. The backlash was immediate. Somalia, the African Union, Arab states, Egypt, Turkey, and China all condemned the move. Over 20 countries declared Somaliland's recognition unacceptable. Eritrea's response stood out, not for its support or condemnation, but for its calculated vagueness. It didn't back Somalia's president or join the chorus against Israel. Instead, Eritrea framed the issue as an unnamed ploy, calling for a UN response. This deliberate obscurity was strategic, setting Eritrea apart from the region's unified outrage. Eritrea positioned itself above the fray, but its silence spoke volumes. In a region of loud voices, Eritrea's ambiguity was its own kind of statement. Eritrea's statement revealed a glaring contradiction, its sudden fixation on international recognition. For decades, Eritrea insisted legitimacy comes from struggle and the will of the people, not foreign approval. Its independence was won on the battlefield, not granted by the UN. Recognition was always secondary to self-determination, yet now Eritrea painted Israel's recognition of Somaliland as a world-altering crisis. This is a sharp reversal. If Eritrea's legitimacy didn't depend on outside validation, why should Somaliland's? By treating Israel's move as catastrophic, Eritrea admits that recognition matters. Its principles, once absolute, now seem flexible, used when convenient, discarded when not. When it suited Eritrea, self-determination was everything. Now, it's a threat. The real issue isn't abstract rules of statehood, but the precedent Somaliland sets. Eritrea's concern is less about principle, more about protecting its own interests. The statement exposes a deep fear that the rules Eritrea once used could now be used against it. In the end, Eritrea's stance is less about Somaliland and more about itself. Eritrea's call for UN Security Council intervention is a stunning contradiction. This is a nation that spent decades defying the UN, denouncing it as a tool of Western power. Eritrea has resisted international scrutiny, fiercely guarding its sovereignty. Now it's inviting the very institution it mistrusts to referee a regional dispute. Eritrea is advocating for a principle it would never accept for itself, letting the UN judge acts of recognition. This sets a dangerous precedent. Could the UN one day question Eritrea's own independence? The move is less about justice more about seeking a veto from allies like China and Russia. Eritrea isn't appealing to law. It's making a desperate political play. The irony is clear. Eritrea is using the UN as a tool, just as it once accused others of doing. Eritrea's statement borrows heavily from China's playbook on Taiwan. By warning of threats to regional stability and defending Somalia's territorial integrity, Eritrea echoes the One China principle. This is a stunning reversal for a nation born from self-determination. Eritrea once fought to break free from Ethiopia, rejecting the sanctity of old borders. Now it champions the very principle it once defied. This ideological shift isn't accidental. It signals Eritrea's alignment with China and Russia. By parroting Beijing's arguments, Eritrea seeks favor with anti-Western powers. The statement is less about Somaliland, more about Eritrea's place in a shifting world order. But this comes at a cost. Eritrea's revolutionary rhetoric now rings hollow. Its foreign policy is revealed as opportunistic, sacrificing principle for short-term alliances. Eritrea's statement never mentions Israel, the country at the heart of the crisis. This omission is no accident. It's a calculated diplomatic move. In diplomacy, not naming an actor is a way to condemn without burning bridges. Eritrea's relationship with Israel is complex, marked by quiet cooperation along the Red Sea. Publicly, Eritrea aligns with African and Arab consensus, but privately, it values its ties with Israel. By avoiding Israel's name, Eritrea signals opposition to its allies while protecting its own interests. The vague language allows plausible deniability and preserves strategic relationships. Eritrea's silence is a shield, safeguarding its security arrangements. This balancing act reveals Eritrea's pragmatic core. Despite its revolutionary image, Eritrea practices subtle diplomacy when it matters most. The statement isn't ideological outrage. It's cold calculation. Naming Israel would have pleased some, but the cost was too high. Eritrea's silence on Israel speaks volumes about its true priorities. Eritrea's statement also erases Somaliland itself, never mentioning its name or achievements. Somaliland's decades of stable self-governance are ignored, its existence denied. By refusing to acknowledge Somaliland, Eritrea avoids legitimizing its case for statehood. This erasure is strategic. Admitting Somaliland's success would undermine Eritrea's argument. Instead, Eritrea frames the crisis as a foreign ploy, making Somaliland a pawn, not a protagonist. The silence reveals the weakness of Eritrea's position. It can't withstand the facts on the ground. Eritrea constructs an alternate reality, pretending Somaliland's 30 years never happened. This isn't about fair assessment. It's about preserving the old map of Africa. Eritrea's refusal to engage with Somaliland's reality says more than any condemnation could. Strip away the contradictions, and Eritrea's core fear emerges: precedent. The real threat isn't regional chaos. It's that Somaliland proves secession can succeed. Somaliland's stability and democracy challenge the post-colonial African order. The African Union's doctrine of inviolable borders was meant to prevent endless conflict, but Somaliland offers a counter-argument. Self-determination can bring peace. This is a nightmare for Eritrea, itself a product of secession, but now a defender of the status quo. Eritrea fears that Somaliland's success could inspire other breakaway movements. Having climbed the ladder of secession, Eritrea now wants to pull it up behind itself. Its statement is an act of self-preservation, not confusion. The contradictions and silences are deliberate signals. By invoking the UN, echoing China, and erasing both Israel and Somaliland, Eritrea tries to control a story it finds threatening. Eritrea is clinging to old rules to stop a new reality. In the end, the statement reveals more about Eritrea's anxieties than about Somaliland's future.